Fishport Live coming up next.
Coming to you live from Studio F in Russia, Ohio, it's the Fish Report Live Show with your hosts, Craig Fissinger and Ken Francis.
Welcome back, everyone, to another Fish Report Live. It is Wednesday, November 28th. That's Ken Francis. I'm Craig Fissinger. TK and Heavy D are back in our sound room. And Ken, I tell you what, after last week's special show, I'm glad to be sitting in this chair here doing the talking and not back in that sound room. It's hectic back there.
You know what? I think we got it on the easy side over here. You know, I witnessed some of the stuff that goes on in that sound room. And with Heavy D and TK, they do a phenomenal job back there. And but I will have to admit, it was nothing against you, Craig, but it was awful fun last week working with Heavy D and his Outdoor Adventure show. And what a show we had. And it was just a great Thanksgiving special. Had a lot of people talking about it. A lot of people watched it. And big success. And congratulations to Heavy D.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And we'll have to do some more of that in the future.
Yeah,
but,
we sure did miss TK, though. He was overseas. But he was on assignment. So we'll see someday if he brought anything back for us.
All right, well, we got a lot of fun coming up tonight. We're going to be hearing from a lot of people. We've got Russia Lady Raiders head coach Allan King. We're going to have live on the show in just a little bit. We have 4 Russia senior boys we talked to last night. We're going to have them, we're going to see what they had to say a little later. And then we've got our old friend Big Dog coming on tonight. You remember that guy, don't you?
I remember the dog.
Yeah, he's going to be talking to us about the SCL hoops and looking forward to hearing from him. But before we get to all that, just like we do every week, let's get to that weekly trivia question. What do you got for me tonight?
Well, I'll tell you what, Craig, before I get to that, we got one weekend of high school football left.
We do.
So if you don't mind, I'd like to do a shout out there to the Marion Local Flyers. They play Friday at 11 a.m. Good luck from Fish Report Live. And on Saturday at 3 o'clock in the Division 5 finals, we got another MAC school, the Cavaliers of Coldwater, taking on Kirkland in what should be just a phenomenal state championship football game.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
Yes, what's interesting is this is 10 years in a row now that the MAC has had at least one team in the state championship.
Phenomenal.
And over that time period, they've already pulled in 11 state championships during those 9 years, and they'll go for 12 and 13 this weekend. And, just a big tribute throughout the MAC football programs out there, and good luck to them this weekend.
Definitely.
And anyways, talking about football and talking about the trivia question, I've got one last football question for us for the year.
Okay, lay it on me.
All righty. The Coldwater Cavaliers, their senior class, will be participating in their 60th football game.
Wow.
60th career football game. That's 15 every year. They've been to the state championship game all 4 years. Phenomenal, right?
15 games a year.
15 games a year times 4.
That's a lot of football. That's
60
like
games.
Whole nother season.
Yes, it is. So anyways, how many teams previous to Coldwater this weekend, how many teams previous to them have completed 60 football games in their career? Is it 0, 2, or 7? Hasn't happened very often.
Yeah, I was going to say, not many, apparently.
No, 0, 2, or 7.
0, 2, or 7. All right, well, I'll give that one some thought, and I'll give you my my lucky guess at the end of the show.
All right.
All right, Ken, well, let's get to what we want to talk about tonight, and that is hoops, doing a hoops preview, boys and girls, and we're going to start out talking some girls basketball, and their season just started last week, and what a week it was for the first week of girls hoops. A lot of excitement, and I tell you what I want to do tonight. I'd kind of like to go around the horn, maybe start with you, then go back to our sound room, and maybe ask you guys maybe one highlight from this past week, see what you have to say.
Well, I think the Shelby County League got off to a fast start, very well represented with some big wins for Shelby County League teams. But probably, Craig, the girl I'm going to point out, I witnessed Friday night at Clare C. Nouveau Gymnasium has to be Connor Harris, the young lady senior basketball standout for the Yellow Jackets of Sydney. All she did was pour in 49 points against the Lady Raiders. And the Lady Raiders got a phenomenal basketball team. You know, this girl's playing D1 basketball next year at Chicago State. She had to sit out most of last season with a torn ACL. So just a phenomenal start for Connor Harrison. The following night, she poured in 29 more. So, you know, she's off to a great start.
Yeah, I think she set a couple school records there, too, maybe for points in a game with that 49-point performance, and then also for three-pointers.
Yes, she did. She broke the Sydney High School record the following night for career three-pointers. So, you know, she's off to a fast start, as are a lot of the Lady Raiders. Kylie Wilson is off to a big start, and some of the other girls for the Raiders chipping in very nicely. So it's going to be a fun year for girls basketball.
Yeah. How about you guys back there in the sound room? Any highlights for you? Guys, I don't think we're getting any sound from you back there.
No sound? How about now?
There we are.
There we go.
Yeah.
So there's a lot going on back here. Sorry about that. Talking about one of the Raiders' new foes this year is the New Knoxville Rangers. Coming off a pretty strong season last year, 17-3. I think they lost 3 seniors. So that's not too much to lose from a 17-3 team, so they're going to be strong. I think they're 2-1 now, led by Haley Horseman and Paige Lehman, 2 juniors. They tried their best the other night against Fort Laramie, but came up a little bit short against a tough Fort Laramie team, and I think there'll be quite a battle when the Raiders take them on. So that'll be something to look forward to.
How about you, Heavy D?
Yeah, Ken, you mentioned Kylie Wilson. She led the Raiders last year with 11 points per game. Came out of the chute strong against Sydney last year and never really let up. Kylie's a strong physical player. She's fun to watch. And she started out the first 3 games this year, again leading the Raiders. She's averaging about 15 points. Just the ball goes down low to the block. She's got one thing on her mind, that's taking the ball to the rack. She's going to be fun to watch this year. Physical, aggressive, and she's a good kid.
All right, guys, great stuff there. One of the highlights for me had to be the start of the Lady Redskins over there in Fort Laramie. It started out with a couple quality MAC opponents in Marion Local and New Knoxville, and they picked up a couple wins. And I actually talked to Coach Siegel this afternoon. I asked her, you know, how she could start out so well, especially after losing a captain from last year, a senior this year, Reggie Brandaway. They were expecting a lot out of her, and she said it was quite a blow to start their season. She said, but she talked to those girls and basically told them, listen, I don't expect you guys to replace Reggie, at least not right off the bat. But she told them, I think each one of you has a little something inside of you that, you know, maybe together collectively you can bring it together and play hard in this Marion game. And like I said, they picked up the win there in a very exciting game. And then they did it again against New Knoxville last night. So.
Right. You know, that's 3 local girls, Craig, that we know of that presumably are out for the year with torn ACLs. You got Reggie Brandaway from Fort Laramie, Camille Putoff from Russia, and Chloe Varvel over at Versailles. So, you know, just big blows, injuries hitting teams, and, you know, that's some of the depth of these teams is really going to be tested early.
Yeah, I want to ask Coach King here in just a little bit about Camille, but we'll get to that in just a little bit. Let's take a look at the standings, though, Ken, as they are now after last night's game. And why don't you go through them real quick and tell our viewers what we've got so far.
Well, you know, to no surprise, we see Anna right up on top of the standings again, where they've been the last several years. Russia and Houston also even with them right now at 1-0 in the league. Fort Laramie, 2 impressive non-league wins over MAC schools. They're obviously going to be right near the top of the league standings all year. Botkins, who is much improved this year. Coach Don Magda just does a fantastic job over there. And Fairlawn and Jackson Center, both on 0-2 right now overall. And, you know, they'll have good years and they'll play hard. And so it'll be interesting to see how things turn out in the Shelby County League as the year progresses.
Yeah, I know it's a little early to be looking at league standing, but it's still fun to do. And as the weeks go on, we'll take a look at them every week and go over them for our viewers, and we'll see how things change. But let's take a look at the schedule coming up, and why don't you go through the games that we have coming up here in the next few days? Well,
tomorrow night, Indian Lake at Botkins and Lehman at Houston. And then Saturday, a couple Shelby County League battles there. We're going to have Anna traveling to Houston. Fort Loramie at Farallon. And in a game that I think is going to be very interesting, Jackson Center will be coming over to Russia to play. Jackson Center obviously lost to graduation Brooke Richard, but they're going to play hard, and they're going to give Russia all they want. And then the third, or the seventh Shelby County League team here has Riverside going to Botkins.
Yeah, Ken, obviously that Jackson-Russia game is the big one we're concerned with. And the last time these two teams met was the sectional tournament in Sydney last season. You remember how that one went, don't you?
I sure do. You know, what a game that was. The Raiders led most of that game. Jackson Center rallied at the end of the game to force an overtime. Russia ended up pulling away in a big win, 41-37. Eventually led them to a district championship and into regional play a few weeks later. So Brooke Richard led the Tigers that night with 23 points, and Shayna Meyer, who is back for her senior year, led the Raiders with 15 points and 11 rebounds.
Well, Ken, I guess the bad news for Jackson Center is they don't have Brooke Richard anymore. The good news for Raider fans is they do have Shayna Meyer back. So that's, like I said, good news if you're a Raider fan. And I guess let's talk to the guy that's going to be calling the plays for the Raiders on Saturday night. That's the head coach, Allan King. I think we have him on the phone right now. Coach King, welcome to Fish Report Live, and thanks for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me, Craig.
All right. Well, Ken and I, we mentioned your win over Botkins last night, and for a Trojans team that was only 8-13 last year, to me they seem much improved. And I want to ask you what your opinion of that is.
Oh, there's no doubt that they're improved. You're always going to get a physical game when you go up to Botkins. You know that Coach Mack is going to have scouted you a bunch of times and have these kids prepared to play. So right there, it makes it a tough contest. But on top of it, I've really seen some of their other kids step up, improve a lot. The Bergman kid, I think, had 5 threes the night before they played us. So they're definitely an improved team, and I look for them to surprise some people this year during the season.
All right, well, let's talk about your team. Ken just mentioned you started the season off on kind of a tough note. You lost your starting point guard from the last couple years, and junior Camille Putoff. And I want to ask you, we just talked about Coach Siegel and losing one of their starters to an ACL injury. What did you say to your girls when Camille went down? Because that had to be kind of a downer for the team.
Well, there's not a whole lot you can say, especially losing a kid like Camille. At the immediate time, I tried to just talk to him about sometimes life is tough, but you can't let the circumstances make you. You have to make the circumstances. But quite frankly, Camille has made it very easy. She's taken Lauren Heaton under her wing. She's just been positive, upbeat. She's immersed herself in her new role. I call her our point guard coach. The next day she was on crutches on the baseline, talking to kids, being positive, just being Camille. And I've never seen anybody handle that injury the way she's handled it. Last night she had surgery yesterday afternoon. She was on the phone with us in the locker room last night. Gave the girls a pregame talk. She just really immersed herself in it and pretty much made it all about the team and not really worrying about herself, which is pretty impressive.
That is impressive coming from a young lady like that to have that type of attitude coming off a knee injury. So good luck to Camille as she goes through probably some pretty tough rehab here the next few weeks. So, Coach, this is Ken Francis. And, you've got Jackson Center coming up Saturday. Obviously, Jackson Center lost big scorer Brooke Richard from last year's team, and a team that really battled you tough last year. What concerns do you have about the Lady Tigers this Saturday?
A lot. Maybe that's just the coach in me, but they're going to be the toughest team that we play on Saturday. That's for sure. So we're going to have to really be prepared. They're going to do a lot of different things than they did last year. Their offense is going to look completely different without Richards. But they have capable kids. The Zimfer kid, I watched her over the summer, and I just saw her get better every day. The Meyer kid, the same way. They got a freshman that had 14 points in 2 quarters of a JV game and then played in a varsity game and scored 12 in 3 quarters. So they're going to be a lot to handle. I look for them to try to use some of their quickness and speed and really pressure us. And, it's going to be a tough game. And there isn't an easy game in the Shelby County League. You got to come to play every night. And, these games like Jackson Center is going to be a tough battle. I really think it's going to depend on who comes to play on Saturday.
Coach, let's talk about the three-point shot a little bit. Obviously, it's a huge factor in basketball games ever since it's been implemented into the program. But correct me if I'm wrong, last year during the regular season, you only had 7 three-pointers the entire regular season. This year in 3 games, you've made 8. Your personnel hasn't really changed all that much. Explain to us, what happened.
Well, if you look at our season last year, we really focused on getting the basketball inside. We have some really nice 15 to 17-foot jump shooters in Maggie Kearns and Ashley Borchers. Those 2 girls and a lot of the girls just spent a lot of time in the off-season getting a little stronger, getting a little more comfortable. If you watched us in the tournament, we had a game where we had 4. We had a couple other threes, so we had more threes in the tournament. So we were capable of it. We weren't looking for it. But it was really a lot about confidence. And confidence to me is a 2-part dynamic, acquired skill and experience success. And our girls spent a lot of time this offseason getting shots up, acquiring that skill. And then, whether it be in the shootouts in the summer or in the scrimmages here early on, they've shot a lot of those threes. I've been on them to make sure they take some. And I think they've experienced that success. And so now it's just another thing that's a part of our game. And it has been a big key in each game. Last night we kind of were able to spread the game out right before the half when Lauren Heaton and Taylor Daniel both made threes going into halftime. So it's a big play. It's the slam dunk of basketball now, and especially in girls basketball where we don't have too many slam dunks, especially at this level.
All right, last question, Coach. Both Ken and I were in attendance last Saturday for that opener against Sydney, and I got to admit, it almost felt like a tournament atmosphere out there, and at least it did in the stands. I want to ask you, was there any of that feeling on the floor, and how important is it for the girls to play in that type of atmosphere?
It's very important for them to play in that atmosphere. First of all, I really appreciate our fans that came out to support us. It's great for the girls to play in that atmosphere because we know everybody come tournament time will come out, but it's great for them to get a chance to play in that beforehand. Really, the biggest thing you find out when you play in an atmosphere like that is it's really just another game. There's a lot more people yelling and screaming, and other than that, it's really just another game. We still play it the same way. You've got to get through some of the emotion of the crowd, but it's really just another game, and part of realizing that is playing in it and getting a chance to play in that atmosphere. So that game, win or lose, is going to be very important to us come later on. The regular season records really don't matter. It's what you do in the tournament. And, that game will go a long way, I think, in helping us be confident, feel comfortable, and do well in the tournament this year.
All right, Coach. Well, that was great stuff. Hey, listen, we'll let you go. We want to thank you for joining us tonight. We look forward to talking to you maybe a little more as the season goes on, and we want to wish you good luck this Saturday against Jackson Center.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. You guys are my favorite sports talk show in the area. So
thanks,
even
Coach.
national, for that matter. So,
appreciate you taking time out of your schedule.
Thank you.
All right, that was the head coach of the Lady Raiders, Allan King, and Ken. I think we're in for an exciting season with his girls there.
Yeah, they got some fast kids, they got some tall kids, and they got some shooters, and they can defend, and they run some great offensive sets. And they're fun to watch. All
right, well, Ken, we can't end our girls basketball talk without talking about something that our guys back in the sound room like, and that is to eat. They like food. Yeah. And I know those guys back there are always raiding the concession stands around the Shelby County League. So let's go back real quick to the sound room. Guys, give it to us. Give us some of the better places to eat in the SCL.
Well, Craig, there's quite a few. Used to be the Hangar. Anybody that's been around for a long time used to know the Hangar was the place to go. That's not too bad since it's been upgraded with the new school, I don't think, out there in Fairlawn. We were at Botkin's the other night. I had a bag of popcorn. The bag was pretty good. Looking forward to heading to Jackson Center, though. Daryl, I think you know a little bit about Jackson Center's concession stand.
Yeah, I had my first big cat last year. I'm not a big cat aficionado like TK. He's had maybe 12 or 14 or 15 of them in his life. I've had one. It was pretty decent. I look forward to a rematch with that.
Yeah, I've heard that there's actually scorekeepers that will have a big cat during the game. I don't know if it's true or not, but I have heard that. So that's something to look for maybe when you're at your next game in Jackson Center.
All right. Well, I have never had a big cat. How about you, Ken?
I've had more than my share. They're very good.
All right. I'll look forward to trying one maybe later in the season. All right, Ken. Well, that's going to do it for our first half tonight. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll hear from those 4 Russia senior boys that we talked about earlier, and we'll also be talking to our old friend Big Dog. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Raised by a single mother in the heart of the Midwest. She grew up, didn't have to struggle, cause her mom worked hard for everything they had. She never knew her father, only knew that he was gone. She would wake to her mother crying and an empty Bible laying on the floor. Yeah. Teen with open face, she was gonna leave this town, but she fell in love, had a son, now she's paying rent on an old farmhouse. Got a job in a factory downtown, pushing out on wheels. Now it's porch cars and blue bandanas and pink streams for you and me. All the mornings they are diamonds in on this side of town. She likes to smoke, takes a toll, it's just another day of a fairy tale. Oh, it's just black coffee.
All right, welcome back, everyone, to the second half of Fish Report Live. Ken, before the break, we were talking about girls basketball, which actually started last week. Now we're going to move ahead to boys basketball, which is coming up starting this week. The season kicks off Friday night. Of course, we're most familiar or excited about the SCL, and I'd like to maybe review what happened last year and have you explain to the viewers or review that with them.
Sure. You know, last year, if you remember, the Jackson Center Tigers, just a phenomenal year, ended up state runner-up. And Coach Elkert's got a nice nucleus coming back from that team. You know, gone, obviously, is Andy Hoyne, but the majority of his players are back. So they're going to be really strong this year. Anna finished second last year. Russia was right behind Anna. Look for both them two teams to be very exciting to watch this year. Houston was middle of the pack last year. They finished at 5-7. I look for them to be much improved, as will Bachans and Fort Loramie. You know, those two teams last year, 4-8 in the league. Personally, Craig, I think the league is probably going to be as balanced this year as I can ever remember it. You know, the favorite, you know, maybe Jackson Center, maybe not, maybe Anna. It could be Fairlawn. It could be anybody. I think on any given night, I can honestly say on any given night, it would not surprise me if somebody beat the other team.
Okay.
So I have a very balanced league this year.
All right. Well, we got a chance last night to stop in at a Russia Raiders practice, get a little glimpse of them, and they got a little bit different look this year, don't they?
Yes, they do. Gone, obviously, is 6'9" Brandon Wilson, but you know, back is Treg Francis, a sharpshooting guard from last year. His running mate was Trevor Sherman. Bryce Deuce as well got some varsity time, as well as Austin Garrity. So those 4 seniors will lead the Raiders. You know, there's the juniors and a few sophomores playing varsity, so it'll be an interesting year for the Raiders, and you know, I look for them to push it up and down the floor. And one thing I guarantee you, Coach Bremegen's team will play hard. They always do. They always have, and this year will be no exception.
Yeah, I agree. And I know one of those players is actually your son, Nolan. I know he was coming off a little bit of an ankle injury. I wanted to ask you, how's he doing?
He's doing much better, Craig. I would say he's 75-80% now, and but he'll definitely be giving it a go Saturday against St. Henry.
All right, well, let's take a look at the video we shot last night with those 4 Russia senior boys and find out about their new look this season.
Okay, you graduated 6 seniors last year. How is this year's Raiders going to be different than last year's? Well, it's going to be significantly different because those 6 seniors last year ate up a lot of the minutes, and this year we just got some new guys in there, but they're fitting in well. We've got the same style of play, really, and looking to be a successful season.
We're losing about 5 inches of height from the year before, and Brandon Wilson being 6'9", so that's a big difference too. And their leadership last year is key for our late season success, but this year's seniors are looking to replace that leadership and do even better.
Last year's team, we definitely had a height in Brandon Wilson and quickness and Bryce Rittenhouse and Ethan Schaefer and Corey Bremigen, but I think this year we still got some fast kids and Trevor Sherman and Trey Francis and Nolan Francis. And you got Austin Garrity and Austin Tebby and Adam Hoying in the post. So I think from last year we're looking pretty good.
We also asked the boys how important it was to get off to a good start.
And this year you got 2 extra games. You got a 22-game schedule this year. You're starting out Saturday night hosting St. Henry. You're at Botkins on Tuesday. You got Jackson Center on Friday. With a 22-game schedule, is it that important to get off to a good start?
It's very important to get off to a good start because you get off to a good start like last year. We started off about 7-0, had a really good season. Do the same thing this year with a couple of league games to start off the season. It's very important.
I think it's crucial for us. I mean, I'm really excited about the extra 2 games, just more playing, and our schedule to start the season here is pretty tough, so we have been practicing, getting prepared for all these games, and the 22-game schedule, it's not that big of a difference, but it's really important to get off to a good start, get the season going.
Winning the first couple games of the season is really important because it helps build our team's confidence, and with that early season success, it'll make us compete for a league title and have a good postseason run.
All right, Ken. Well, those were the 4 Russia senior boys, and a lot of fun talking to them. Like we said, they opened the season Saturday night against St. Henry, and St. Henry's got a pretty nice team, don't they?
St. Henry's got a really good team. You know, last year they were 22-3. They were regional runner-up, and a lot back for Russia native Eric Rosenbeck. The Russia alumni who will be bringing his Redskins into Claire C. Naveau Gymnasium for the first time ever in his coaching career. So, you know, they're led by the quarterback of the football team, Nate Stahl, 6'5", probably 6'6", maybe about 240. So, you know, he's going to be a handful for the Raiders. But like I said, we'll play hard, we'll be quick, and we'll see what happens.
All right, well, let's take a look at that schedule and see what all the games coming up this weekend.
Botkins will be at the Ben Logan Tip-Off Classic on Friday and Saturday. And then Fort Loramie has a nice non-league counter Friday night against New Knoxville. A couple league games, Fairlawn and Anna, as well as Houston and Jackson Center, which will be a real interesting matchup.
What else you got?
And Botkins, you got Botkins again on Ben Logan, Newton and Houston, and Sonia at Fort Loramie, and then Russia will open up Saturday night against St. Henry. So big weekend for basketball.
All right, well, correct me if I'm wrong, Ken, but that doesn't look like your typical SCL schedule to start out the season.
No, it doesn't, and the reason there is Russia and Botkins actually are scheduled to play. And however, since Botkins is pre-committed to the tip-off tournament at Ben Logan, the Russia-Botkins game had to be rescheduled for Tuesday night. Therefore, that's why Russia is actually not playing Friday night because Botkins is other contract.
All right. Well, Ken, what do we really know? You and I together, I don't know what we know, but I do know one guy that does know a lot, and that's our old friend Big Dog. I believe we have him on the phone right now. Big Dog, are you out there?
I'm here.
Hey, Big Dog, welcome back.
Oh, thanks. We just got done with the women's version of the Gem City Jam out here at the Nutter Center.
Nice. Go ahead, give us some details.
Yeah. Dayton ended up winning 95-73. They had 15 threes the night. They are in the rankings, and they're definitely for real.
I've heard they got a nice team this year after losing a lot of good players, including the Versailles graduate Justine Ratterman. So good. Flyers are off to a good start. So, hey, Shelby County League.
They're 7-0 on the year now.
Good. Shelby County League boys basketball preview tonight. We got myself and Craig here. Any thoughts?
Wow,
we want to know.
I had to do some stories for the newspaper preview, and everybody is pointing towards Jackson Center. And then after that, everybody thinks it's going to be a wide open league this year.
Well, I know Ken's kind of. I know he's high on the Raiders, of course, and he's high on Anna as well. I'd like to know your thoughts on those two teams.
It's going to be Anna just has the one player with any varsity experience, Chandon Williams, but he's going to be definitely one of the better players in the county this year. But after that, they're kind of a question mark at this point. And then Fairlawn has the two guards, of course, and Anthony Gillum and Trey Everett. But then after that, they're kind of a question mark as well. So it'll be interesting to see how this first game turns out. But if Fairlawn supposedly has some thoughts about being in the league running and that sort of thing, they need to win that game there on Friday night.
I told Craig just a few moments ago, Big Dog, that I feel personally on any given night, the 7 teams, anybody could beat anybody. I think it is that balanced this year. I think Botkins is much improved. I think Houston is Houston's going to be very good this year. They've got one of the premier players in the league in Jesse Flippo. I just think Fort Loramie is going to be much better this year. I think on any given night, it would not surprise me to see either team win.
No, you're definitely right. Like you said, I think it's hard to say right now. There's a lot of question marks for everybody, and once those get answered, then we'll have a better idea of what's going to happen in the county race this year.
Big Dog, let me ask you. You mentioned Jackson Center. It sounds like, in your opinion, they're the clear-cut favorite, but they've been depending heavily on the SCL MVP for the last 2 years, Andy Hoying. Andy's not there anymore. Who do they lean on now?
I think they're going to, obviously, it's probably like Alex Meyer and Gavin Wildermuth and Trey Elker, just to name a few of those. Those guys are all back, and I'm sure those guys will be counted on to provide some leadership. I believe Eric Ryder is also back this year, so
they definitely got a good.
Four guys. That's a good nucleus to start from.
They definitely got a good team. The one thing that would concern me about Jackson Center would be their depth. Now, I might be wrong, but, I'm looking at they got 5 solid players after that. They might be a little questionable. I think Anna's going to be pretty strong. They got a very good junior class, as does Fort Loramie. Fairlawn, obviously, like you said, with the 2 good guards. Rushi's got some very good guards and very fast, athletic kids in the program. So I think it's going to be a wide-open shootout this year.
Yeah, I definitely think so, too. I can't wait for it to get started.
I want to ask you about Fort Loramie, too, Big Dog. I don't know what y'all know about them, but, they've got Seth Giozzi back, of course. I think everyone's familiar with him. They got a nice point guard in Craig Fullenkamp, and a couple guys, Logan McGee and Troy Bainanzer. I don't know how much people in the SCL know about them, but they kind of finished an uncharacteristic 4-8 in the league. Do you see them getting any better this year?
Yeah, like you said, they got a lot of experience coming back, and when I talked to Coach Ratterman for the preview, that's one of their points of emphasis this year is to get back to the Loramie winning ways and get back to the Loramie tradition. I mean, last year that was just, that for the last 30 years, all we've ever known is Loramie be winning. And for them to only win, like you said, the number of games that they did last year, they're definitely looking to get back to their winning ways this year.
Well, like you said, I think it's going to be a very interesting year. Time will tell. We'll know a lot more after a couple weeks, Big Dog. And, it's just going to be interesting to see how it all shakes out.
Definitely so.
All right, Big Dog, we'll let you go. But, hey, listen, we look forward to talking to you maybe as the season goes on to get some maybe some predictions or just some stats from you. Does that sound okay?
That sounds great.
All right, Big Dog. Well, I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to join us on Fish Report Live.
All right. Sounds great. Thanks.
All right, Ken. Well, like we said, sounds like his clear-cut favorites, the Jackson Center Tigers. But I agree with you. I think Anna's, I know you like them. They got a nice point guard, a Bensman that's a point guard for them. And I think they got another kid, Joel Albers, a post player for them that's supposed to be pretty nice as well.
So, yeah, I think it's going to be wide open. I just think, Anna's not getting any recognition hardly at all from anybody. And my personal thoughts are that they're going to have a pretty nice team.
And Fairlawn, I don't think they really changed much from last year. And they gave Jackson all they could handle in the tournament with, like I said, the SCL MVP, Andy Hoying. So
yeah, they did. Jackson's got 2 great guards. They got a new coach over there this year in Justin Tidwell. So, time will tell over there to see how things gel over there in Fairlawn.
All right, Ken. Well, it's going to be a fun season of SCL hoops. We look forward to talking about it and sharing it with our viewers here. But I think it's time to close things up here. But I want to get back to that trivia question you asked me at the beginning of the night. I know it was football related. Tell me about it again and give me my choices.
All right, this weekend, the Coldwater Cavaliers, the senior class, will be playing in their 60th high school football game. That's 15 games a year for 4 consecutive years. How many teams previous to Coldwater have played in 60 high school football games? Is it 0, 2, or 7? 0, 2, or 7. Just a hint, in order to play 60 games, you had to get to the state championship game all 4 years.
Well, it's had to have happened before. I can't believe that nobody's ever done that. 7 probably is a high number, so I'm going to go with 2. I'm going to guess 2.
You know, you're wrong. It is 0.
0?
0. To date, as of right now, no one has ever played in 60 high school football games. This Saturday, the Coldwater Cavaliers, the senior class, will be playing in their 60th high school football game, first time in OHSAA history.
Wow, that's
congratulations to that senior class.
All right, well, we'll be rooting on both Coldwater and Marion this weekend. Ken, any T-shirt winners this week?
I'm going to nominate the guy that started the show off tonight with that beautiful slam dunk and intro, Bryce Deuce.
That's a good choice.
All right.
That's something I can't do, that's for sure.
That's for sure.
All right, Ken. Well, listen, that's going to do it for us tonight. I want to say special thanks to our live guest, Allan King. Thanks to those Russia seniors for joining us tonight, and special thanks to Big Dog for coming on the show just a little bit ago. And finally, thanks to our viewers, as always, again. Thanks for tuning in. Ken and I and the crew will be back again next Wednesday with another big show. So until then, everyone have a great rest of the week, and we'll see you next week. Good night.
And TK, this is Heavy D, signing off, saying good night and good fishing.